Once upon a time, high up in the mountain valleys where biting frost seeps through warm fur and the silence of snow muffles all sound, survival is no choice, only a deep instinct. One such winter, colder than any living creature could remember. An old forest horse named Stormy was wandering, limping along. His herd had left him behind. It wasn't because they lacked compassion, but his healed but weakening leg made him slow and vulnerable. They left him to his own devices, hoping he would find a new herd or succumb to his injuries. Stormy knew he couldn't outrun the coming night, and so he pushed on, driven by instinct and weariness. As the sun dipped below the jagged teeth of the mountains, casting long, cold shadows, he stumbled out of the forest onto a rocky outcrop overlooking a wide-open valley blanketed in darkness and snow. He couldn't see a cave nearby, nor hear any reassuring sounds of other animals huddling together against the frost. In desperation, Stormy started back into the woods. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm him, he spotted a narrow opening between some rocks. It's half hidden by a curtain of glistening icicles. He walked towards it, his steps heavy and reluctant. As he neared the entrance, the rhythmic drip of melting ice grew louder, mingling with the sound of his own labored breathing. Pushing aside the icy curtain, he stepped inside. Inside, the mouth of the cave opened into a spacious chamber. It was dark, the only light filtering in from the entrance. Stormy hesitated at the threshold, listening intently. A faint hissing sound reached his ears, making his muscles tense and his heart pound. Though he couldn't see well in the gloom, he sensed danger coiled in the corner of the cave. Taking a cautious step forward, he saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at him intently. And there, curled into a tight coil, was a large hooded cobra. Scales shimmered like polished onyx, and its nostrils flared, tasting the air. Stormy felt a primal fear grip him, threatening to paralyze him with terror. But then something unexpected happened. The cobra didn't strike. Perhaps it was too sluggish from the cold, or sensed the horse's exhaustion. But it remained still, regarding the newcomer with unblinking intensity. After a moment that stretched into eternity, Stormy lowered his head and stepped past the coiled serpent into the inner chamber. He didn't want to provoke the snake, but he couldn't keep standing in the entrance either. With a soft thud, he lay down on the cold ground, keeping a wary eye on the cobra. For a moment there was silence, except for the drip of melting snow outside. Then the horse let out a soft sigh and closed his eyes. The cobra watched him for a long moment, its gaze unwavering. Then, as if satisfied, it uncoiled slightly, still keeping an eye on the horse. As the night wore on, the temperature inside the cave gradually rose. The horse's body, large and warm, radiated heat into the space, thawing the frozen earth and melting the cobra's frigid limbs. In the pre-dawn hours, when the sky outside was a canvas of soft blues and pinks, the horse stirred. He shifted positions, stretching his stiff muscles and shaking his mane. The cobra, sensing the movement, coiled tighter, its scales rustling softly. The horse opened his eyes and saw the snake watching him intently. For a moment their gazes held. The horse saw the power coiled in the snake's sinuous form, and the cobra saw the strength and vulnerability in the horse's gentle eyes. Then, as the first rays of sunlight touched the icy entrance of the cave, something extraordinary happened. The cobra uncoiled itself slowly and slithered closer to the horse, its movements graceful and fluid. The horse didn't flinch, simply watched as the snake approached, drawn by an instinct he couldn't understand. When the cobra was close enough, it did something that seemed almost magical. It nuzzled against the horse's leg, its cold, smooth scales pressing against the horse's warm, furry hide. The horse felt a jolt run through him, a sensation he couldn't quite decipher. It was neither painful nor threatening, but strangely comforting. The days that followed were filled with a routine that defied the harsh laws of nature. Every morning, the cobra would greet the rising sun by uncoiling itself around the horse, seeking the warmth of his body. The horse, in turn, would remain still, patient, enduring the snake's icy weight upon his leg. They didn't speak, but there was a silent understanding between them, a bond forged in the crucible of winter. As the weeks passed, the weather began to improve. The sun shone brighter, the days grew longer, and the snow melted into glistening streams. The world outside the cave transformed into a vibrant tapestry of greens and golds as nature shook off the shackles of winter. One morning, as the first birdsong echoed through the valley, the horse felt a surge of energy course through him. The healing power of the sun and the comforting presence of the cobra had restored his strength. With a final glance at the snake, he rose to his feet, his muscles aching from the long rest. The cobra, sensing the change in the horse, uncoiled itself and slid down to the ground. It looked up at the horse with a strange intensity in its eyes, as if acknowledging the end of their shared ordeal. The horse stepped out of the cave, his hooves touching the soft grass for the first time in weeks. He shook his mane, feeling the invigorating wind tousling his thick locks. He took a deep breath, savoring the sweet scent of wildflowers carried on the breeze. Beyond the trees, he could hear the distant rumble of his herd. They were close now, drawn back by instinct to this haven of shared solitude. As the horse rejoined his herd, the cobras retreated back into the grasslands beyond. From that day on, the horse and the cobra never forgot their time spent together in the cave. Whenever they met in the wild, there was a flicker of recognition in their eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they had forged in the heart of winter. The locals first noticed signs of the unusual friendship when they discovered hoofprints near the cave. They were large and deep, belonging to the great forest horses. Alongside them were curious markings, sinuous and scaly, too perfect to be anything but a serpent. Initially, they feared the worst, imagining the horse lying dead, perhaps slain by a venomous bite. But when they approached cautiously, they found him standing quietly inside the cave, calm and alert. As they drew closer, they saw the cobra slithering slowly towards them, its movements languid, yet purposeful. It came close, but it didn't strike. It circled the horse, its head raised as though greeting him, then retreated, disappearing into the grasses. From that day forward, whenever anyone ventured into the mountains, they carried with them the tale of the horse and the cobra. It's a reminder that sometimes the most unlikely of friendships can blossom in the harshest of environments. And so, the legend of the horse and the cobra was passed down through generations, becoming an integral part of the folklore of the mountain people. It served as a constant reminder that the wilderness held mysteries beyond human comprehension, where age-old instincts could be set aside in favor of understanding, where survival wasn't always about claws or fangs, sometimes about something more profound, a shared silence in the face of winter. Do you believe in the power of friendship to overcome differences? Let us know your thoughts.